Socorro City Council is set to begin. Gentlemen, please remove your hats, and everyone please silence all electronic equipment. No disruptive behavior or outbursts will be tolerated, and violators are subject to ejection and possible prosecution. La Junta de la Concilio de la Ciudad de Socorro está por empezar. Caballeros, favor de quitarse las cachuchas o sombreros y todos favor de poner en silencio todo equipo electrónico. No se va a tolerar ningún tipo de comportamiento perjudicial o revoltoso. A quien no sigue estas reglas se la sacará y puede ser infraccionado. Gracias.
It is 6:07 p.m. This meeting is called to order. Item number 2, Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3, Establishment of Quorum.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Here.
Alejandro Garcia is absent. Mayor I.B. Avalos.
Here.
Rudy Cruz.
Present.
Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Item number 4, Public Comment.
Mayor, we have several speakers for public comment. Our first speaker is Margie Perez. Ms. Perez, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name's Margarita Perez. Everybody knows me by Margie. I just wanted to come in and thank you again for always supporting Christmas Trails for Toys. Again, we're starting the year. This is our 19th year that we've been helping the community. We're going to be having the same things, your turkey. Most likely, it'll be again as a drive-through, and I would really appreciate it if the city of Socorro can provide Rio Vista so we can go ahead and use to store everything there and just pass everything through there in at Rio Vista Center. Also, we're doing right now we're doing a raffle, and it's to gain funds for the children. It's they're $5 tickets, and it has 4 prizes: a 40-inch TV, some a $100 gift certificate for Corralitos. We're doing a bottle of Jack Daniels and also some wooden art. Anybody would be interested, please let me know. And of course, again, this year, we still don't know if our event will be drive-through or at Peter Piper's because of the vaccination for the kids. We still don't know. Depending on how the numbers, what the numbers show later on during the year, then we'll find out if it's going to be drive-through or if it's going to be there at Peter Piper's. And also, we'll be having car show at Wing Daddy's in Horizon. And this, again, will be our 19th year, and it'll be September the 11th. So I really appreciate all the support that the city of Socorro gives us, and remember that it is for the kids that are south of the freeway here in Socorro. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adriel Bustillos. Mr. Bustillos, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Adriel Bustillos from County Commissioner Ileana Ogin's office. This will be my last meeting with y'all. After that, another intern will take over. Just to recap what is going down at the county. At the county, we will be entering budget week this coming week. And of course, I just want to make the announcements that the transit system for the county is still giving free rides until September 30th of 2022. And this is just as gas prices are still high. They are coming down, but this is a great benefit for the county. In addition to that, we are still doing rental assistance. The rental assistance program is with El Paso United and Ayuda, and they'll be handling all of that. If you have any questions, of course, you can contact our office. In addition to that, we are hosting UMC bond meetings. The UMC bond, I guess, vote will be September 12th. And with that coming up soon, we are hosting community meetings, so the community is aware of what the bond is about and what UMC is trying to do with the certificate of obligation. From my understanding, UMC will be presenting to the City Council on August 18th, and in that moment in time, the public is able to make public comment and ask questions during their public comment portion, and the council, of course, has that opportunity as well. We are hosting a meeting this Saturday in Horizon at the ESD Administration Building, just in case you want a head start or you want more of a public forum type deal. That will be hosted at 9 a.m. This Saturday. And just final thing I wanted to say was regarding Representative Villalobos and Mayor Avalo's request on the canal cleanup. I have made progress in contacting several sources. The irrigation district is in charge of it. And don't worry, I will try finishing my work on the canal before I leave the internship, but I will keep you posted. That's all the announcements from the county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cecilia Ortiz. Ms. Ortiz, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, I'd like to show you some pictures, if I may. I have a file.
Can you provide the USB to Mr. Rota?
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Cecilia Ortiz. Vivo en la esquina de las calles Moon y Márquez Road. Estoy aquí porque el tráfico de ciertos negocios aledaños a mi propiedad le están causando graves daños estructurales a mi casa. Vivo en una casa hecha de adobe y no está construida para resistir el tráfico de camiones con cargamento pesado. Estos camiones pasan todos los días, todo el día, desde que amanece hasta que anochece. Cada que pasan por mi casa, la tierra tiembla. El techo truena y el suelo de mi cocina pues ya se abrió, haciendo una grieta que corre desde el cuarto de lavadora hasta la cocina. Ahí, como pueden ver las fotos, ahí están las imágenes. El piso de mi baño también tiene una grieta grande, todas las paredes muestran algún daño, están cuarteadas. La que más me preocupa es el cuarto de mi hija. Está a punto de colapsar, la verdad, por fuera. Ahora que ha llovido, el agua lava el adobe expuesto y cada vez se hace más débil. De hecho, la barda que separa a mis vecinos y a mí también está cuarteada. Yo estoy sentada en una zona que es histórica y alrededor es residencial y light commercial. Esto quiere decir que puede haber negocios pequeños, lo cual no es el caso. El caso es de que ahí hay negocios industriales, se mueven camiones grandes, semi-trucks y con cargamento muy, muy pesado. Cuando estos camiones pasan desde 200 pies antes de cruzar por mi casa, ya se siente la tierra que está temblando. Y mi pregunta es, ¿cómo fue que esos negocios les dieron el permiso para operar de esa manera si esa zona no es para ese tipo de negocios? Y les pediría por favor que me ayuden. Algo se tiene que hacer, yo no voy a esperar hasta que la casa se venga encima de nosotros. Ahí vivimos yo, mi esposo y mis hijos. Mi hijo se acaba de graduar de high school. Entonces, mi enfoque ahorita debe ser en su futuro, en cómo voy a pagar para ayudarle porque él quiere ser médico. Entonces no puedo estar yo con mi energía y mis recursos arreglando una casa que constantemente se está dañando. Mi hija también está en high school, acaba de empezar su senior year, y ese quiero que sea mi enfoque, en ayudar a mis hijos a tener un buen futuro, pero primero se empieza en una casa donde están seguros. Y algo se tiene que hacer antes que pase alguna tragedia. Gracias.
Thank you.
Marisol Moreno. Ms. Moreno, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Marisol Moreno. I'm here because I would like to set up a private meeting with any of the board members. We would like to discuss the issue that we're having on the Flor Bonita subdivision, that they've been telling us that we can take our semi-tractor trailers in there. I understand that we're not taking them with our like the whole trailer is just the tractor trailers. We have a big space where we can put them. So they've told me that we need to change the ordinance, so that's why I'm trying to contact Ivy Avalos and Yvonne Colon, and they never respond back to me. So we want to see if we can change that ordinance. I have more than 10 people that have signed, and I have their addresses, their names, and everything, that are truck drivers that are around our area, that we're willing to do anything possible to change that ordinance. So if anybody can call me or contact me so to see what we can do in a private meeting, because if not, we're probably all of us gonna come on the 18th. I know it's your next meeting, so we'll probably have packed in here. We're not gonna stop until we do something about this, to change the ordinance. If anybody can call me, I know that Yvonne Colon is the one in charge of our district, and I don't know if she's not answering, she's sick, but I'm sure that somebody else can contact me or step up. We would really appreciate that, because since it's our way of making our money, if we take those trucks somewhere else to be taken care of, they damage them, anything like that. So we have a big property. We have more of a half a quarter acre. So I'm sure our trucks can fit in there and they're secured. So other than that, I mean, we can discuss other issues, pros and cons, but I don't want to do it here. So if anybody can call me and contact me so we can take care of that, I would really do appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Mayor,
Thank you.
Miss Mayor, can somebody from staff get her phone number? She did leave me a message. No number was registered, and that's the one I was telling you if anyone had her information. Mrs. Norma, right? Are you Norma?
No, I'm Marisol Moreno.
Norma called me, didn't leave a phone number, and I didn't know how to get a hold of her. And I'm just coming back from medical leave.
Oh, okay. So if you can call me so that we can set up a private meeting and we can talk about this, I would really appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Somebody can take her information, please?
I have her information, Mrs. Villalobos.
Okay, thank you.
Francisco Mares.
It's not public comment? It's okay, thank you.
Mayor, those are all our speakers.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to move item number 23, which is a text dot update and presentation.
Do we have a second?
Yes, second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent, Rudy Cruz,
Yes.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 23, update from TechStar regarding current and future projects taking place in the city of Socorro, Texas.
Good evening. My name is Rene Romero. I'm the East Area Engineer for TxDOT. My office is responsible for all construction and maintenance of East El Paso. We've been asked to speak today to give a presentation. I know there's been a lot of feedback on the raised medium projects that we have going on around the city. And some of those medium projects actually affect your community on Alameda and on Horizon. So what we decided to do is bring one of our traffic engineers, Mr. Joe Madrid. He's going to give a short presentation on the positive effects of these raised medians. And after he's done doing that, I'm gonna give kind of a quick update of construction status and where you guys can call if you have any concerns or questions. So I'll kind of turn it over to Mr. Madrid.
Thank you, Mr. Romero. Council, thank you for having us. So talk to you about some roadway safety improvements.
I'm sorry to interrupt. It's very difficult for the folks that are online listening. We need to speak like directly into the mic.
Okay, I'll make sure I stay on this thing.
Thanks.
So the first thing that we do for TxDOT, our big initiative is End the Streak, of course. Since November 7th of 2000, we still haven't had a deathless day. So this is our goal as TxDOT is to end the streak. We need to make sure that we're doing everything positive for TxDOT, for our communities, to end that streak that we have. So the purpose, so going straight into it. Our Highway Safety Improvement Program, it's a program, of course, it's obviously mandatory, it's to improve safety on all roadways within Texas. It's a federally managed program, so it's federal dollars. And then so the whole goal is to significantly reduce fatalities and serious injury crashes. Those are our goals. We treat targeted locations, we look for hot spots where there's a lot of crashes, and those are the ones we focus on. And then one of the considerations when we're doing this, so a few pointers here are, it's data driven, so we look at all the crash data that we have. It's strategic, we want to make sure we put these improvements in the right place. And it's results focused. We definitely focus on countermeasures that work, that there's data and this backs us up for what we're doing. And of course, it's cost effective. It's all federal money, it's taxpayer money. Some countermeasures that we're talking about specifically today are the raised medians. So the benefits here, the main one that we have is improved safety for both drivers and pedestrians. It eliminates conflict points, which is the main thing that we're trying to do with these raised medians. Access management is preserved. A lot of driveways, this is a good treatment for a lot of driveways and left turning movements, and improves traffic flows because there's less conflicts. Pedestrian refuges, we all know pedestrians cross wherever it's easier for them to cross, even though it's not marked or they have push buttons for signals. So this provides a refuge. This is our kind of extra to provide that extra protection. Just to give you guys some stats about what's going on nationwide and what about these raised medians. There's a 40% reduction in crashes in urban areas. These are the reduction factors that we want to reduce these crashes by. Next, pedestrian-involved crashes reduced by 45% and fatalities by 78%. You're talking about 3/4 of these incidents that could be avoided with this feature that is installed, the raised median. Exclusive left turns, which is pretty much a left turn bay. Every time we can make this happen, we're reducing 50% of the crashes, and about rear-end collisions, 60 to 88%. These are huge numbers, and it's working nationwide. As a state, this is what we're pushing. So the first point about the reduced conflict points, here's kind of like a figure of what it looks like. As you can see on the left side, all of those red dots are all the possible conflicts when you don't have a raised median. So the middle point is that two-way left turn lane, which is that fifth lane. You can make a left from both directions. There's a lot of conflicts, as you can see on the left. You're talking about not only vehicles from all directions, we're talking about pedestrians, you're talking about bicycles, you're talking about driveways. The more you increase, those conflicts just keep on adding up. On the right side, that's what it looks like with the raised median. You can see just the reduction in conflicts. It's just basic, figures of what we're trying to improve here. The reduced information overload, this is a visual as the driver. So picture this on top. This is a picture of Zaragoza. There's 5 lanes. When we focus on our peripheral, what we're focused on when we're driving, all those arrows are all the things we got to worry about as a driver. We got left, right, we got the side from the middle left turn lane. It's a lot to process as a driver. When we bring in the raised medians, which is the next picture, this is what it looks like on Alameda on a proportion by the UMC hospital. You only got one conflict from the turn lanes, and then if you have a turning bay, of course, on the left side. So you can see just a lot more to focus on. It improves the flow of any roadway. We're going to show a short video that our PO did about just what's going on in the city. So you guys can see how we're doing this as in El Paso.
Hi everyone, Lauren Macias Cervantes with TxDOT. Today out in central El Paso, we're on Copia, where one of our raised median safety improvement projects is in progress. Crews have already constructed several sections. Left turns are limited and traffic can no longer cross over in some parts of the corridor. The project, made possible by safety dollars, addresses high crash rates in congested areas like Copia, considers turning volumes, number of driveways, and pedestrian crossings. Look at this area of Zaragoza, for example. Wherever you look, note all the vehicle movements and potential points of conflict. Raised medians like these already in place on Alameda have the benefit of significantly reducing crashes for both vehicles and pedestrians. Federal Highway Administration studies have shown vehicular crashes reduced by 40% and up to 78% in pedestrian fatalities where medians are present. Decreased crashes because there are fewer points of conflict, lower speeds, less opportunity for head-on crashes, and impacts caused by turning movements. More safety for pedestrians because medians provide refuge for those crossing the roadway outside of designated crossings. Additional benefits of medians include opportunities for illumination, signage, and aesthetic benefits. There's also better access management results. Though they may take some getting used to, drivers can expect to see more medians around the city. 7 locations are programmed within the following roadways for the next year: Jonathan, Copia, Dyer, Montana, Zaragoza, Horizon, and Alameda. Now, each of these projects have their own timelines. Once they're under construction, though, drivers can expect lane closures. Until next time, safe travels.
So you can see we're trying to
Hi,
spread
everyone.
this improvement throughout the
Hi,
whole
everyone.
city.
Lauren.
And these improvements range from the west side of town to the lower valley to the east side. We're trying to make sure we put this improvement and it's going to work as a city, not as just isolated areas. So to go what came up for the Alameda portion, which is the SH20, this is from Loop 275 to Rio Vista. Those are the limits where we're putting it right now. That condition is 4 lanes, and it has that 2-way left turn condition. You guys are aware of that middle lane. Just to give you a kind of like an idea of what's going on with the ADT. So you can next bullet. So the average daily traffic is about 21,000. It's a lot of traffic. We look at that as a criteria. We have different factors of what it's good for, what it's not. That type of traffic is perfect for this treatment, as far as from studies nationwide. So the crash data itself, this is what kind of triggered the need for this. So total crashes, there's 293, 1 fatality, 2 suspected serious injuries, 40 possible injuries. These are big numbers in the past 5 years, from 17 to 2022. We definitely want to reduce that. We have a countermeasure that's working. So this is one thing that we're pushing. So if you look at this pie graph, the main thing they want to push here, the top 10, these are the manner of collisions. So our crash reports, we get to read how they crashed, how it happened based on the police reports. The top 10, 8 out of the 10 have attributes that can be avoided from raised medians. The raised medians actually helps prevent a lot of those types of crashes. So the angle, both going straight, angle, 1 straight, 1 left turn. So a lot of turning movements, a lot of stopping movements from the middle. So this treatment helps for the majority of these. And the last bullet is the percentage. 86% out of all these crashes actually have those manner collisions that can be avoided from raised medians. So we found a good counter treatment that's going to work majority, more than 50%. So we're very confident that this treatment's going to work. For the next portion we want to talk about was FM 1281 Horizon. This can be from the North Loop to I-10 portion. It's the same thing, 4 lanes for that 2-way left turn lane. The average daily traffic is 25,000, a little bit over, and again, it's really good daily traffic for this treatment. It's appropriate. And as far as traffic, it's the crashes itself, 220 total crashes. No fatalities, thankfully, in the last 5 years, but we have 6 suspected serious injuries, possible injuries 35. So it's quite a bit of numbers that we got to reduce. And if you look at the top 10, 7 out of 10 are the same. Manner of collisions are actually improved with the introduction of a raised median. So we definitely think that this is the right countermeasure for this location, for those crashes. So now I'm going to hand it off for the additional treatment. So we didn't just come in with the raised medians. while we're doing this work, we want to make sure we enhance it as much as we can. So the enhancements that we're doing here are the illumination. Illumination is going to go up from Loop 275 to Nevadas, and it's already up. You can start seeing the poles up already. And it's an improved. The good thing about these raised medians is that it gives us a better option as far as lighting improvements. At the moment, there's power lines on one side of the road. We can't put power unless we work out certain deals and we don't get with the power electric company, and we can't space them out the way we want them. When we put them on the raised medians, we can put these poles where they need to be, get the right coverage, and they get really good lighting at night. We have that constraint with the canal on the other side, so that was another constraint that this raised medians helped, so we can place it on the medians. Another big improvement we're doing here is that right across the Socorro High School, we're actually putting these rectangular rapid flashing beacons. So the bottom shows a figure of what it looks like. There's already a crosswalk right now, but we were able to take advantage of the raised median to provide that refuge, and it's actuated. So what happens is that when somebody wants to cross over from that pedestrian bridge that goes from the community to across to Socorro High School, they push the button, it starts to flash, traffic has to stop, and then they usually have a refuge where they can stop in case traffic doesn't stop for any reason. Whereas opposed, they didn't have that before. So this is an enhancement that we could have done because of the raised medians. We threw this on. Let me see if I have anything else. Nope. So that's it. So for the next part, I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Rene Romero.
Thank you, Mr. Madrid. So like I mentioned earlier, my office, Mr. Madrid was responsible for the design. So our projects start in the design phase. After we have the drawings, they come to my office if it's East El Paso, and we're responsible for construction. So two of these projects that Mr. Madrid mentioned, they affect your community on Horizon and Alameda. So I kind of just wanted to come up here and give you a brief kind of where we're at, snapshot. So the first one is Alameda. That construction started July 20th, 2021. It's projected to finish September 2022. And we have some pavement that we're also placing down to restore the current pavement, and that's projected to finish spring 2023. The contractor that's helping us work on this project is Lesna Construction. Something I kind of wanted to touch on is keep in mind this is a work in progress. I know sometimes we go out there and something looks a little off. You know, the median is sticking out or the striping looks bad. Keep in mind, this is phased certain ways. We don't just go out there and start building all crazy. We have steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Typically, the last step is striping. So that's when we're ready to close the project and finish. You'll see the striping. The striping will be offset a bit, and that'll help mitigate traffic issues. And there's one more slide, I believe. And the second project is on Horizon. That started this year, back in January. The median work is actually complete on this project. We're just pending the striping, like I mentioned. And the contractor on that one is International Eagle. And then the last slide has my contact info. You can reach out to me if you have any issues. If any of your community members reach out and have issues or concerns, feel free to pass my information along. I also put Francisco's information. He's the assistant area engineer in our office. So those are two good contacts to have in case anyone reaches out for questions. We're happy to answer them. Something I kind of wanted to make a point as well is that we're already in construction. This is not the design phase where we get input and we can make changes. Unfortunately, it's already in construction. We've let it out for a contractor. We've awarded a certain amount of money, and it's under contract now. So we're building what's on the plans. But I know I've already gotten some calls. I got a call from Mr. Oscar. He owns an In-N-Out gas station on Alameda. So our team went out there actually earlier today, and we met with him and kind of addressed some of his concerns and answered some of his questions. So I guess that's all we kind of had for today. Thank you for having us.
Mayor,
Ms. Villalobos?
may I ask several questions, please? Mr. Romo?
Romero, yes.
Or whoever can answer. I appreciate the presentation. I think it was long overdue. I think we've all received those complaints and how disappointed everybody is that they put these mediums up, have not colored them. People are hitting them at night. So my question number one is, can we get a picture, can we get a copy of the video? I would love to send it to the people that are complaining. Hopefully they understand where you guys are coming from. And also in the future, if you're gonna put these gray, mediums, the next thing that has to happen is you either have to paint them or put something over them. I know at first here in Horizon, we got so many calls of cars that hit the medium. One of them was even towed to the nearest auto because he lost, I don't know what it was, transmission, I have no idea, but he hit it really hard. And so it would have been nice to have had a video explaining not just to the city of Socorro, but to El Paso County what was going on. Because we got them from everywhere, and even from El Paso, we had people calling us because they were in Socorro. Okay, thank you.
Right, and just to quickly address one of your comments that you made. So again, this is still in the construction phase. We're not complete yet. So in some areas, we're actually gonna have stamped concrete in that median. So it'll be a little bit more visible. I know right now it's hard to see because you're correct, it's gray, it's just fresh concrete. So typically the way the contractor builds it, remember, we do this in steps. So they built the outside. It's like when you used to color when you were little. You used to color the outside, and then you come back and color the inside. And that's what we're gonna do. We're in some areas, we're gonna have stamped concrete. So that should help with the visibility.
Well, we have to protect the community.
Yes.
And waiting for the color, some of us have lesser vision as we get older, and everything is bland, like, that little medium blends in with the street. And so, yeah, it's pretty dangerous.
So yeah, I'll go back.
I was just saying for the future, the next thing that has to happen, if you're gonna put that gray, the color has to come in. You can't wait months and months to put in that color. No, because then you have all these accidents, and you can see them on the medium. You can see where they've hit the medium. You can see, and then you see spots that are being hit over and over and over. Obviously, that's a problem.
Right, so that's a good point. So I'll go back and talk to the team. Some mitigation we can use is we can put some drums, some orange barrels on the median to maybe help with visibility. Another part of this, and I talk about this through experience, it's driver education. Right now, it's just, if you're walking along your house, you kind of have your house memorized. If someone leaves something out of order, you might trip on it. But over time, drivers will get educated. They'll realize where the median is. When we restripe, that should help as well. But you brought up some good points, and we'll definitely go back to the team and look at those points.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Mayor, we have a speaker for this item, Miriam Cruz.
Okay, I was just unmuted. Thank you, Ms. Navarro. I have several comments and questions to both gentlemen. My name is Miriam Cruz. I'm a longtime resident of Socorro. I did leave a couple of messages, never heard back, which is a little annoying, but life happens. You mentioned positive effects. Listen, I get it. Safety first, 1,000%. But what is the positive effect of having a crooked raised median?
I don't know if she's talking about a turn.
The 10 manner, I'm sorry, I'm not finished. The 10 manner of collision with letter, I would ask if you could include that with letters instead of colors. People are colorblinded, and so it would help if you actually marked which color corresponds to which part of the graph. The Socorro High School crosswalk, long overdue, absolutely, 1,000%. I see that you're not listening to me anymore. But I appreciate that that's happening. And I want to know, you said, we're no longer in the requesting information from the public. When was any public input requested on any of these medians? I don't remember this being ever, I've always raved about TxDOT requesting public information on many, many different things. And in this, I don't remember seeing anything. And maybe I did miss it. Maybe that's my bad. But I don't remember seeing anything requesting that input. And lastly, you talk about driver education. Well, okay, I see you're not listening to me anymore. Again, there is an outline. You said we start with the outline. Well, why can't the outline be the one that's colored? Wouldn't that make sense? Because that's where the car would make contact with that median.
Your time is up.
So those are good comments. And although this project is already being constructed, I kept looking over at Joe and saying those are good points. So just because this project is in construction doesn't mean we can't take these comments and learn from them and make future projects better. So those are good comments, and we'll go back to the team and pass that along to our designers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Moving on to presentations, item number 5, presentation of how Community Development Financial Institutions, CDFI, can assist the community of Socorro gain access to capital.
Can you play that video with no volume? This is not my presentation. This is one from YouTube, so anybody can view it. Anyone can go on there and search it. It's just a general idea of what a CDFI is, and I'll go ahead and narrate as we move along through the presentation. You can go ahead and hit play. So I wanted to go over the CDFI and how it can help the city of Socorro. Its function is in the name, and we want to build or grow our community, obviously, the way it mentions in the presentation. And how do you do this? Well, you do it through CDFIs, which are Community Development Financial Institutions. And so, in essence, we already have a nonprofit set up here with the city of Socorro. And so the reason that CDFIs are structured this way is because we don't want to make money off of high interest rates. The way it works is you want to build just enough interest so that you're able to help out or lend to the next small business or individual. So we always talk about quality of life here in our meetings and in the city of Socorro and how we want to better the community. And I believe that this is one way of doing it. And if you give the people the tools that they need to build a sustainable business, they can now provide for their families, in turn giving back to the community. And a good example of that is by looking at all of the local businesses. Our money stays here. If you live here in the city of Socorro and you go to a local restaurant, your money stays here within the city. And so what happens then is the money just cycles through, and we can stop the economic leakage, or at least put somewhat of a slow stop to it as we move along. So not only do CDFIs provide access to capital, but it also invests in the community by providing financial literacy courses. A lot of times we find ourselves in financial binds because we may lack the money management skills needed to run a business, or even our own household expenses and much more. CDFIs make it more easier to access capital because we'll always fit the mold. I know that I've gone to the bank personally, and I've tried to pull out a loan, and you get denied. Why? Because I don't fit the mold of the bank. I'm not the person that they're looking for to lend money to. With a CDFI, it's very different. So the CDFIs make it more easier to access these monies. We're an underserved population, as many of you all know, and CDFIs are regulated to lending in areas such as ours. There are different ways that people can qualify for this type of funding, either if it's through a credit repair micro-enterprise rather than your traditional lending from a financial institution. So we'd rather go through a CDFI to gain access to funding than to have to borrow money from a predatory lender, which usually costs 400 to 500% APR. So I feel that a CDFI would do wonders for the city of Socorro as well. Through the nonprofit, we can also build and structure this CDFI lending so that the city of Socorro, as a municipality, can also take advantage of the new market tax credits This comes through private lenders and the Department of Treasury. I know that our municipality is working on a very, very tight budget, and through the CDFI lending, we can also take advantage of that money for our city to develop and build new buildings, admin buildings, other structures that the city so very much needs right now. So the presentation right now is just to kind of bring it to the table and present it to the public and just let them know that this is something that I feel would have a positive impact on the city. Not necessarily go out and start creating it or structuring it, but I think it's time that the city look into something like this, especially right now with our growing population. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, any questions? All right.
I don't believe so. Moving on, item number 6, presentation of monthly MPO updates to council and Socorro residents.
Thank you, Mayor. So the El Paso Metropolitan Planning Organization is a policy board that the city of Socorro sits on, as well as surrounding cities, municipalities, and the county. We have state reps, we have senators who also join in on these meetings as well. And we are responsible for developing and creating the policies throughout the city and the county for transportation, our roadways and our highways and our freeways and whatnot. And so every month we meet downtown and we go over some of the policies and agenda items. And I want to go over the agenda items that were placed on this month's MPO meeting. One of them was the discussion and action to consider our executive director, Mr. Calvo, to sign a letter of support. And this letter of support is for the Texas Transportation Commission, or the Unified Transportation Plan, the UTP, for the next year. What this does is it helps us bring in more funding in order to allow for the county, the city, as well as Socorro, because we're all affected in some way and somehow by all of the traffic that flows through the city. And right now, we are looking at the approved and submitted letter was done March of this year, and it's to redirect approximately $150 million from funded projects to the Downtown 10. There's different categories of funding, and this one here is going to be placed in Category 12 funds for these projects here. So the total funding identified for the project would now be approximately, and I use the word approximately because we don't have concrete numbers yet right now, but we're at $305 million with close to $445 million yet to be identified. And when I say yet to be identified, that's because each municipality, each city, alongside New Mexico TxDOT, are responsible for submitting new projects. So there's something called the call for projects, and if we feel that there's a project that we identify here in our city that needs funding, then we're going to submit our paperwork and our documentation to back and support our request for funding to make things happen here in our city. The next agenda item was to allow for the El Paso MPO alongside the University of Texas to increase the contract amount of $750,000 to a max of $900,000. So just to make it clear for everybody, we work in conjunction and with local organizations, universities, and other institutes. UTEP, because what UTEP does for us here is they assist on specific projects using UTEP staff and students, and through different task orders. Right now we were priced at $750. We wanted to allow for a little bit extra funding for $900K for all the new projects that are coming up here. What they do is they help conduct studies in our area, feasibility studies, and what's going to work best here for transportation, its guidelines, and whatnot. Another item that I wanted to discuss with you all at this meeting here was the item, and I really didn't want to touch base on New Mexico TxDOT. We're not in New Mexico, we're in Texas. So I'm going to keep moving through here and talk about things that may look like it affects us. Another thing that was discussed at this MPO meeting was the CMAQ traffic congestion on the road mobile source emissions targets. So by law now, this was introduced in 2012. what has to be done now in order for us to seek funding is the state of Texas now wants to see, they want to see quantified data, and what they do is they put together these studies about emissions and how many vehicles are on our roadways every day. And so the only way to do that is they go over what's known as peak hour or excessive delay. So when you're at a stoplight and there's 100 cars at the stoplight, guess what? The vehicles are running, there's emissions, and there's air quality control testing that goes on, and they provide all of this. And again, it's through the organizations and the partnerships that we build here with the different institutes. And that was also an item that was discussed. I want to talk about also a agenda item that was brought up at this month's meeting, and this was for a report and discussion on the fiscal year 2024-2025 transportation alternative set aside, or known as the TASA. And this here is the call for projects. This was only discussion, no action was taken, but it's pretty much a project call announcement, application, score sheet. They want all municipalities or any interested parties to submit their application for funding. That was one of the items talked about. And I believe one that affects us down here is the RMS 2020, which is the Regional Mobility Strategy project status. And the only 2 items on this list, there's a total of 27 items. The only ones that affect the city of Socorro are going to be items number 23, which is Nuevo Hueco Tanks Extension, from FM 76 to SH 20. And the other one was going to be the I-10 East Lake to Horizon. Those 2 projects here are ones that are going to affect, and in a positive way, the traffic flow here in our city. We're going to connect where East Lake turns into Nuevo Hueco, hits North Loop, and then from there it's going to hit Alameda, or Interstate 20, I-20, right? And this was just a progress report that we requested from the staff over at the MPO. As you know, you can drive by there. The projects are ongoing. They're not finished. We don't really have a deadline right now, especially with all of the funding. As you all know, that changes on a daily. There's influx in pricing because of labor. Material has gone up, and those things fluctuate. So every time we go and meet every month, there'll be an increase. It's very rare that you see a decrease in pricing, but I wanted to just give everybody here the MPO update from the city of Socorro's position there at the MPO. Thank you.
Questions? Thank you. Item number 7, presentation by city manager regarding June 2022 monthly report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to give you the highlights for June 2022. The Municipal Courts Department collected 60,423, received 290 citations from Socorro PD, 12 citations from Department of Public Safety, 230 animal control citations, and 60 ordinance violation citations. Our HR department did not have a civil service meeting due to lack of quorum. We had 3 separations, which was Antonio Ortiz from Maintenance, Julie Franco, our city auditor, and Abel Maldonado, foreman from Parks and Public Works. There was 2 new hires, Dante Hinojosa and Alec Olvera, police recruits. Parks and Public Works Department assisted Lower Valley Water District for a community cleanup on June 4th, prepped Cougar Park for the 4th of July event, continued to work on the onion field during monsoon season, removal of trees behind the Walgreens property, prepared sandbags for the monsoon season, and continue with a systematic approach for weed control and maintenance of all parks. Our police department received 1,427 calls for service, made 49 arrests. Citizen Academy still ongoing, runs through July 13th, and officers continue to attend training to keep them in compliance with their TCLO certifications. Our city clerk department prepared agendas and minutes for meetings scheduled for June 2nd, 11th, and 16th. Received 42 open records responded to 45, prepared 3 publications, bid openings, June 8th, and for engineering services. Our planning and zoning department collected $93,567, issued 396 permits, 13 registrations, 4 applications, and 82 letters. Our code enforcement issued 306 notices of violations for the month. They cleared 177, issued 47 citations. Animal control received 171 calls for service, 18 impounded animals, and 18 citations were issued. Our recreations department launched their Movies Under the Stars, hosted UMC vaccine on June 13th, the kids camp from June 14th through the 30th, hosted El Paso County attorneys visit to talk to senior citizens for assistance with power of attorneys, living wills, and free legal assistance. They did 880 senior meals for the month. 52 welfare calls were conducted, and HLC meeting was held on June 9th. 1 presentation and 1 approved item, and also kept up with all social media platforms, media inquiries, and press releases. Our IT department assisted with all city council and commission meetings and troubleshooted all IT-related issues for all the city departments, which is a lot. And our grants department for June prepared and submitted interim reports for the El Paso del Norte Health Foundation for the Youth Cultural Program, Year 3, held Recreation Centers Department quarterly grant meeting on June the 3rd, completed monthly reconciliation of grant expenditures, and completed the administrative closeout of completed grant projects and updated all grant projects on eCivis, grants management platform. For CARES Act, they responded to El Paso County's request for information regarding the city's CARES Act allocation. For ARPA, prepared final draft of City of Socorro's ARPA policy and forms adopting internal controls best practices for the city to use ARPA funds. For the nonprofit, coordinated the regular meeting and special board of directors meeting on June 1st and June 29th, posted and promoted the executive director position, received applications, and assisted the board and consulted, made selection of applicant to interview. The economic recovery coordinated the Socorro Small Business meeting on June 6th at the 3 Mission Brewery, coordinated the first ever Socorro breakfast on June 28th at the Dusty Tap, assisting 14 Socorro small businesses via the ESBRA program, and provided $4,803 in economic recovery assistance to small businesses. And that concludes our highlights for the month of June. I don't know if you all have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion to consent agenda.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent, Rudy Cruz,
Yes.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Moving on to regular agenda. Item number 15, public hearing of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Socorro, Texas Combination Tax and Surplus Revenue Certificates of Obligation, Series 2022, in the principal amount of $6,664,000, and awarding the sale of such certificate of obligations to the Texas Water Development Board. Public hearing is open at 7:00 p.m. As there are no speakers for this item, public hearing is now closed at 7 p.m. Item 16, second reading and adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Socorro, Texas Combination Tax and Surplus Revenue Certificates of Obligation, Series 2022, in the principal amount of $6,664,000, and awarding the sale of such certificates of obligation to the Texas Water Development Board.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the money that we received from the Texas Water Development Board. We do have Mr. Tijerina here in case you have any questions, but these are just ordinances and allowing us how to spend those funds, and we have to issue it as a certificate of obligations, which is debt at 0 interest.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Mayor Avalos, council members, Ms. Rodarte, and staff. For the record, Robert Tijerina with Tijerina Galvano Lawrence. We are the city's financial advisor. I'm here this evening to present the final pricing, combination tax and surplus revenue certificates obligation, Series 2022. I had placed a handout in front, placed it on your desk earlier, and this is a flood infrastructure fund from the Texas Water Development Board for the city's Sparks Arroyo Drainage Improvement Project. Total amount is $10,097,281. Breaking that down, as the city manager stated, $6,664,000 is a 0% loan issued as certificates of obligation, and then there is another portion of $3,433,280 of a grant portion. When we say grant, that is basically a free funds for the city, not have to pay back as long as you meet the requirements of doing the exact thing that he had proposed on the project, drainage project. If you turn to page 2, we have the preliminary tax rate impact analysis, and on column C, row 8, we have the city's recent certified values of $1,405,000,000 and change. That is a 6% growth. If you turn to the following page, page 3, on the top right-hand corner, it says post. And what we did on column F is per year on the 0% $6,000,006 loan that they received, the city received from Water Development Board. Your principal payments are on column F, starting on row 8, all the way down to row 37. And if you notice on column G, there is nothing filled in to the interest portion because it's a 0% loan payback. Now, the intentions in talking with your staff is how the city intends to pay this back. We're looking at a INS tax rate increase on column M, going from roughly, and this is on column M, rows 7 and 8, going from 1622 to 1726. Just about a penny of an increase in order to fund this 0% loan from the Texas Water Development Board. If you turn to page 3, I'm sorry, the next page, which is the timetable, and on the timetable, we have pretty much some dates in here on the process of when this kind of started out. On May the 11th, the Texas Water Development Board committed to the city to loan the $10 million and change loan grant program for the city's FIF funding. On June the 16th, the city met in order to approve the plan of finance and the notice of intent, which was published in the local newspaper on June the 17th and June the 24th. And here we are, Thursday, August the 4th, regular scheduled meeting. If this item is approved, we will close this financing on September the 7th. And when we say close the financing, the entire $10 million and change will be committed to the city of Socorro for the drainage improvement project. If you turn to the next page, we have the working group participants. We have the issuer, City of Socorro, Texas, financial advisor, bond counsel, McCall, Parkhurst, and Horton. Paying agent is U.S. Bank, and the lender, Texas Water Development Board. I know that's a lot of information, but again, in a nutshell, the city's receiving about $10 million. $6.6 million of that is at a 0% loan. The remaining amount, 3.4, is at a grant. And again, this will strictly go towards the Sparks Arroyo Drainage Improvement Project. Mayor Avalos, council members, or staff, any questions for myself?
I do.
Mr. Cruz?
We understand that the Sparks Arroyo project is going to happen in phases, and we understand that there's other cities involved, like the city of Horizon. Are they also obligated to this? Because I'm not too too familiar with the funding amount, because we get all of their stormwater down here. So then what improvements are they going to be responsible for up there?
There was no indication, again, that's a great question, Councilmember. I believe that may go to the engineer, but as far as the commitment for this entire amount, it's strictly for the city of Socorro. And when we say committed to the city, in turn, that means the city is obligated to pay the funding back, the loan portion back. So as far as anything for the city of Horizon, I don't know as far as financially and project-wise. I think that may go to maybe the engineer may have something to say with that. But as far as the commitment, it's for the city of Socorro and paying it back entirely by the city of Socorro.
So as the financial advisor, you haven't presented to the city of Horizon or haven't been asked to present?
No, sir. We don't represent the city of Horizon.
No, I understand that.
No,
I mean,
sir.
no,
No, I personally have not, and no one from my office either.
Okay.
And they may have their own financial advisor. And I'm not too familiar with how other issuers go about with the Water Development Board. From my experiences, it's normally spearheaded by one issuer going in with the application, with their team. You have your staff, you have the engineer, you have the other consultants, and it is strictly the dialogue and the commitment between that issuer and the Texas Water Development Board. In my 22 years, I've never had another issuer participate in another municipality financing in order to obtain funding from the Water Development Board.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Ms. Villalobos?
So let me understand this. I'm not, my question is, we're paying back the portion that's not a grant, correct? The city of Socorro will be paying back
The city will be
portion
paying
that's
back
not a grant.
the $6,664,000 at 0%.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
At zero. How many years are we committed to paying that?
We are committed to 30 years, and that is a,
Excuse us, we have, we don't have quorum. Because you have to have 3 present. We now have quorum, sorry.
okay, ma'am. On page 3 of the presentation, on column F, that is the principal payment beginning next fiscal year, $223,000 to $222,000 a year, payback on the $6,664,000. The remaining amount, $3 million and change, will be in the form of a grant.
Thank you.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent. Rudy Cruz?
Yes.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor,
Thank you
council
very
members,
much.
and staff for allowing us the opportunity to represent the city as your financial advisor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council, I would like to make a motion to take a 5-minute recess.
Second.
Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent. Rudy Cruz?
Yes.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
I apologize. I didn't hear what his motion was.
Take a 5-minute break.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Muted.
Unmuted.
It is now 7:19 p.m. We are back in regular council. Moving on to Planning and Zoning Department, item number 17, discussion and action for the City of Socorro to enter into a municipal maintenance agreement and city pride agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation, TxDOT, for the city to be able to post Socorro High School's pride signs on TxDOT right away.
Mayor, Council, good evening. Carlos Gainal with Planning and Zoning Department. Hope you all are doing well. So if you all may remember, a few months back, I believe it was Mr. Garcia who put the item on the agenda for us to replace the really beautiful, significant signs along TxDOT right-of-ways that sort of show the pride of Socorro, right? The Bulldogs, the championships. So those are called city pride signs. And so this item is related to that request by Mr. Garcia and voted on by Mayor and Council. And so essentially what this does is this is the first step that would allow the city of Socorro to fabricate, create, and install these signs on TxDOT right away. So the first item is a municipal maintenance agreement, and what that is the sort of the standard operating procedures of TxDOT. A lot of the stuff that we already know, TxDOT maintains TxDOT right-of-ways, they don't belong to the city. You can't put any signs that you want to put on TxDOT right-of-ways is sort of codified in this agreement, right? It's the things that we already know to be true. These sort of just, this agreement sort of affirms it. That's the first one. The second one is then specific to the city pride agreement. So once we have the municipal maintenance agreement in place, we can then do the second part. It shouldn't be then. It could be done together. But the second part is that the city pride agreement, which is specific to the installation, construction, placement of the Socorro High School or Welcome to Socorro signs on TxDOT right away. So what's going to happen if you all approve this tonight, we will come back with an resolution to say, yes, the next step is for me to say TxDOT City Council approved it, we're good to go. You can review it now. We'll bring back the resolution to have the mayor sign the agreements. And then at the same time, you are now giving us the green light to then start fabricating, designing those signs according to what TxDOT standards are. So this is all this is. Again, first step. There's about 2 or 3 more steps to go, and then at the same time, we're going to start working on the actual signs to have them ready to go in the next several months. Happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Mr. Cruz?
Can we get TxDOT to sign ours so that they can cut the weeds on their medians and show pride?
That's right. The TxDOT rep is here. And Mr. Madrid is the gentleman I've been working with at TxDOT, so I'm happy that he's here. He gave the presentation earlier. But yeah, no, it's a great point.
No, a serious question though. Should the city approve the agenda item for the maintenance agreement? That means that should we decide to place a sign that shows pride in however way we want or choose, we're required to maintain the area around it, or
yes,
the sign itself and
everything, Mr. Cruz, that's exactly right. So essentially, the agreement, and Marwan and I were talking about this earlier, essentially what the agreement is TxDOT allowing the city to put a sign on the right-of-way. The city has the full responsibility for everything else. If they have to replace it, you're indemnifying the TxDOT from any liability if somebody crashes into it. But if we want to put these signs up, which are significant to the community, this is the process to do it through. Yes, sir.
Thanks. Motion to approve.
Second.
Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent. Rudy Cruz?
Yes.
And Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Moving on to City Manager, item number 18, discussion and action to approve Resolution 709, approving the execution and delivery of a grant agreement flood infrastructure fund with the Texas Water Development Board and resolving other matters relating to the subject.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a three-part agenda item regarding the Texas Water Development Board. This is just a resolution in order for us to execute the grant agreement, in order for us to start negotiating or using those funds. And Mr. Tijerina is still here if he will have any questions. But we're just trying to solidify and meet all the requirements of the grant.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent. Rudy Cruz?
Yes.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos.
Yes.
Item number 19, discussion and action to approve the anticipated proposed tax rate for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023 for the city of Socorro, Texas.
So good evening, Mayor and Council. This is an updated worksheet of our budget workshop that we had on July 16th. We are solidifying the tax rate, the no voter, and Mr. Charlie will talk a little bit about that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Charlie Cassiano, Finance Director for the City of Socorro. The lovely spreadsheet that you see before you is updated. We now have the final numbers from the Central Appraisal District, and with those numbers, the City of El Paso recalculated the no new revenue rate and also the voter approval rate for our possible tax rate changes. And so if you will direct yourself again to the schedule in the middle where it says fiscal year 2023 with no change, that's the current tax rate, yet Victor's circling it, and it's 0.083158. That's the combined tax rate that we have right now. And based on the new and improved numbers, we have, oh my gosh, that's the old one. But the assessed value actually came in at 1.465,679. It's the same number that Mr. Tijerena brought up earlier. And so we have an increase in the actual assessed valuation over the amount that I presented before, as you can see there. And consequently, because of that, we also did have some changes in the no new revenue rate. It's showing 0.713517 there, and it actually came back at 0.733229. So we got a slight increase there. And for the voter approval rate, which is the third one, which is the one that we're going to recommend, is it's showing up there at 0.75 and change, and it came in at 0.765492. And that's the rate that we're going to propose that we adopt for this next fiscal
Victor,
year.
can you please scroll up to page number 6 of the worksheet? That is the updated worksheet and numbers that we received. Scroll, not down, up. Yeah. And it's page number 6.
Yeah, I told Victor page 228 because that's what it looked like earlier today when I was looking at it, so I probably told him the wrong page.
And that is, no, you were in the correct place, page 6. And then it's the line item 49. That gives you this 0.76.
This is the revamped schedule by the City of El Paso that they did for us based on the assessed values that were finalized as of July 25th. And as you can see there, those are the key numbers, the 1.405 billion, it's broken down there. I think it's got the debt rate.
Yes.
Just as an aside, though, keep in mind that we did include the debt that we're going to go into for the Texas Water Development Board. It's already included in there. And then the voter approval rate, which is the rate that we are recommending, is that 5492. With that, we are going to need to go into the reserves less, approximately about $500,000 less because of the increased voter approval rate, if that's what we eventually adopt. And, part of that's me being very conservative. The other part is, the numbers came in a little bit higher than we were expecting, which is a good thing. Do you have any questions? Any concerns? Mr. Cruz, you look very...
No, I don't remember when we had our special meeting and you presented.
Yes.
I know that you were working with some preliminary numbers. Do you remember what the tax rate was at that time compared to this?
Yeah, it was the number that was up there earlier, like 0.7. The one that we're recommending, again, is the voter approval rate.
So at the time of the workshop, it was 0.7544.83, right? So the actual number came in as 0.765492.
So we got about a
I don't know if
penny.
you recall that day of the workshop, I said, we'll be in good shape because Mr. Casiano's always very conservative. And that's why he went with the 0.75, and we came in at a higher rate.
Now, and keep in mind, we're actually reducing the rate, but we're increasing revenue because the assessed values have gone up so much. And that's going to be a point of contention for some people, is that you're taking more money, but we're actually reducing the rate. So
Correct, so the tax rate right now is 0.8031. The one we're recommending is 0.76.
So we decreased our tax rate.
It's decreasing.
Yeah. Just say those words.
Can you repeat that again? We are reducing.
we're reducing the tax rate,
Thank you.
but we're actually increasing the tax revenue because it's the rate times the assessed value that gives us the revenue. And you'll see in the disclosures that are coming up that the attorneys will be doing for us, that we have to state that we are actually increasing the tax revenue by such and such and such and so. But
In the eyes of the county, we're worth more. Property value.
yeah, property value, that's the case.
So part of the motion does have to state that you are going with the fiscal year 2023 voter approval rate in the amount of 0.765492. Once we get this approval, then we will start doing the public hearings.
And that's the next item, I believe.
Okay.
Well,
Do we have a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve the voter tax rate at 0.7654.92 for fiscal year 2023, correct?
Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent, Rudy Cruz,
Yes.
and Ivan Colo Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 20, discussion and action to approve the scheduling of 2 public hearings on August 18th and September 1st, 2022 for the anticipated proposed tax rate for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and this is just to solidify the public hearings for the voter approval rate that you all just approved in the prior agenda item.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent, Rudy Cruz,
Yes.
and Ivan Colo Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 21, discussion and action to approve Resolution 710, authorizing and directing establishment of 2 construction accounts with depository bank pursuant to bond ordinance and grant agreement with the Texas Water Development Board, appointing authorized signatories with respect to such accounts and resolving other matters related to the subject.
Do we have a motion?
Do we
Motion
ha-
to approve.
Second?
Wait, I have a question.
Correct, but
You can
Do we have
ask
a motion?
questions after.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mr. Cruz?
So just And I'm barely reading this, and I apologize. The appointment of the authorized signatories, have those been identified yet, or?
Correct. So this resolution, the Texas Water Development, because one of them is a grant and the other one is a loan, they're asking for us to separate
The two.
the depository.
Correct.
Correct. So this is giving staff the authorization to go ahead and do so in the resolution for us to have that approval. Is that correct? Yes. And Mr. Tijerina is here, you only, but it pretty much it's the grant and then the loan. So they all need two different separate accounts.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
I believe he was the second.
No,
It was.
Mr. Reyes. Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent. Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos.
Yes.
Item number 24, update from staff regarding incentivizing board and commission members.
Mayor, you skipped number 22.
I'm sorry?
Number 22.
Oh, I apologize. Moving on to mayor and council, item number 22, discussion and action regarding the dedication of Steer Tank Road to the city of Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So this agenda item here is the dedication of Steer Tank Road. For those of you who don't know where that is, because I really don't know where it is either. If you're traveling down I-10, there's a business there that holds all of the Can-Am, I guess ATV and off-road utility vehicles, and we probably pass it there if you're heading towards Clint. It's on your right-hand side. There's a road there, and I've been told that it's called Steer Tank Road, and I'll ask Mr. Gallinar to chime in right now if he's researched it, because I honestly didn't see it, and I don't know if it's already been named that and it's official. But a gentleman reached out, and he said, hey, we would like to dedicate this road or street to the city. But the reason why I wanted to bring it up to council is because I wanted the staff to come back and make sure that, number one, we ensure the proper procedures and we identify the potential risks and or liabilities, and at the same time identify any advantages or disadvantages that the city can take by, obtaining the dedicated road.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilor Carlos Gallinar once again. So, Mr. Cruz, I think I am familiar with the road. It's near the new pecan factory up there on I-10, right? So we and Mr. Larte had asked me to research it prior to this meeting. It doesn't show up on our maps because it's a private street, right? So there's no name for it, so it wouldn't come up on our GIS maps. But essentially, to answer your question, can the city or should the city take on a new street, right? So essentially what happens is that the answer is yes, you can. I mean, at the end of the day, mayor and council could ask staff to do it, but there is a process. One, the dedication of the street would need to be done, I believe, through a subdivision plat, right? You're dedicating it, here's the plat, here's the street. So then the question becomes is who's gonna pay for that? Do they want compensation, right? That's another question. We want you, the city, to pay us for real estate that's a street. And then I think the most important, Mr. Cruz, is, and this goes to any street, right? And this street seems to be in good condition. I mean, I've driven by there. We haven't looked at it with the perspective that you're bringing. Let's look at it to acquire it. But any street would need to be brought up to city standards. And so if it doesn't have sidewalks, and the city, right now we require sidewalks for any new streets, typically. So then the question then becomes is it substandard, right? And if it's substandard, then at the time that the city acquires it, then it's now the city's responsibility to bring it up to code. Sidewalks, curb and gutter, drainage, exactly, right? And so then at the end of the day, maintenance. So then the question for the city then is, okay, it's beneficial for whatever reason to acquire the street, and because we believe it's beneficial to acquire the street, then it is now the city's responsibility to make sure it is to city standards, just like any other public street, any new public street, right? We recognize there's many streets in Socorro that are substandard, but then the question for mayor and council is, what's the benefit to the city for acquiring it? This street really, quite frankly, from what I understand it to be, is really a driveway for those private businesses, right? But for those private businesses, no one else would be driving on there. So then the question for the city is, why would we want to acquire it? And again, based on all these things that I mentioned, and maintain it, and bring it up to code, and that sort of thing, right? So I don't, again, you may have a reason for us to want to do it. We haven't done the research, but that would be true of any street, right?
Yeah, so it's a dead end right now, right?
It's a dead end, yes, sir.
Does it show potential, I guess, access in the future? And then when you talk about we now have to maintain the streets, there's streets in our cities that have been here since before I was born that
right.
still haven't gotten sidewalks. And I'm going to say it, haven't been maintained according to our standards because of budget restrictions and whatnot. And I say that should the city adopt the dedicated roadway, it falls under the capital improvement plan. And as far as I know, there's really no deadline. Like, we don't have to go in there from one day to the next and put sidewalks and do this and that, if I'm correct.
I think that is correct. We'd have to research it.
Okay.
Right? But at some point, and again, I don't, the street may be in great condition, right? You may not need to do any of that stuff. From what I remember, that's why I said it looks like an okay street. It may not need a lot of improvements. But then to answer your question, if I'm looking at the GIS map, it dead ends into the city limits. So then any extension of that street would be out in the county.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay. So then let's do this. I want to make a motion right now to table this item, so that way you can work more on
Okay.
it and come back with more information
Sure.
and see, you know what, it really is not in our favor.
Yes, sir.
To,
Mr. Nevares, would you like to amend that motion?
I'd like to amend my motion to table this item till further information is provided by Mr. Gallinar.
Second.
Ms. Rodarte?
Yes, Mayor and Council, I just wanted to add that this would be like the Ormsby type of improvement,
Right.
Varela type of improvement. So those are already hitting our capital. We've captured them. And I think that's what Mr. Rudy Cruz wants to do, is capture it in our capital improvement, meaning it doesn't have to happen today, but in the next 10 years. That's something that we're looking for if we were to receive funding. Correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah, that's correct. Yes, it is.
We'll do some research, Mr. Cruz, and happy to bring it back to you. Yes,
Thanks.
sir. Yeah, of course.
All right. Thank you.
Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent. Rudy Cruz?
Yes.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 24, update from staff regarding incentivizing board and commission members.
This is my item, council, mayor, staff. I know we've talked about this in the past. Rudy Cruz brought it up recently, and we still have board members not showing up, more than having meetings. And I think it's time that we start maybe using, incentivizing our board members, maybe test it out first and see if by incentivizing them, these boards will start moving forward, because right now a lot of them are pretty much they're not showing up. And I know that we had suggested, or Mr. Cruz had just suggested T-shirts, cups. I've spoken to these board members in the past, and I don't think that's gonna do it. I believe we should come up with a monetary for every meeting that they do attend, and test it out, see if it works, because we have a lot of these boards that are waiting to be heard, and it's not working. And we have more board members now that we've ever had. Let's just, keep them. Let's keep them. So I'm hoping that today we make a decision, test it out, maybe for a month or two, three months, and see if by incentivizing them monetarily, they will start to attend these meetings. Thank you.
Mr. Rodarte?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. So today we wouldn't be able to make action on it because it's just an update. I do know that the attorney has given us a response. However, they're asking if we can discuss that during executive session. So we can move that, because we do have an item on executive session. So just if we can move it when we go into executive, we discuss this item to provide an update.
So I make the motion to go ahead and
Villalobos,
move
we
this
don't-
item.
It's an update.
Oh, okay.
So do we make the motion after everything's done to go into executive and move that one into executive as well?
Correct, so when you're going into executive, when you're making the motion, you'll state that also this item will go into executive.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Item number 25, discussion and action regarding interchangeable or digital nameplates for council and board members, requesting that City Manager Adriana Rodarte or her designated staff member research the cost and effectiveness.
Thank you. This is also my item, and in the past, I had thought of the same scenario. Our board members sit up there, and a lot of people think that's their names where they're sitting. I believe they deserve, and we should have the proper names when they're doing their board meetings, and this is why I brought up this item. Hopefully, you guys agree. Thank you.
Do we have a motion for this item?
So I make a motion to allow staff, Ms. Rodarte or her designated staff, to look into what it would cost and the effectiveness of interchangeable or digital nameplates for our board members.
Do we have a second?
I want to second the motion, but in addition to that, as long as we have fully assigned board member seats, we struggle right now. And so I think that if we go buy a whole bunch of nameplates and individuals don't even show up, but I do second the motion just to go out and find pricing. I second the motion.
Well, they could be digital, as she mentions here, which if they're digital, they could be changed out.
Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent, Rudy Cruz,
Yes.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Mayor, excuse me, we had a speaker for this item. Miriam Cruz.
Can I go ahead, or are you guys going to make a motion to reopen the item? I'm not sure.
Mr. Martinez, can we reopen the item? Or should we reopen the item?
Well, no, you're asking us to go on for pricing.
Or who's the attorney? I'm sorry. Mr. Attorney?
Yeah, so I think it was just somebody that signed up for public comment on this. So
Yes.
They can speak on that issue.
Go ahead, Ms. Cruz.
Okay. And by the way, I couldn't hear the response on my phone. So for this item, I'm not really sure how digital way would work, since usually our setup is the way that if I'm looking at YouTube right now, it's kind of like you guys are. So from here, I can't even see your nameplate. So I'm not sure how digital would work. But I have had perfect attendance, and I would request You know, I don't even need a nameplate. That would be nice, but I've started to carry my, you know, my own little paper folded with my name on it. I would love it if it was cardstock, so it would look a little nicer and stay up. You know, I would appreciate that because it is confusing. And at the very minimum, I think that before each meeting, all of the nameplates should be removed from, you know, city council members' names. They should just be removed since we're not those people. Thank you.
Well, we've already voted on that.
Number
Unless
26.
any of you want to amend.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Cruz. Item number 26, discussion and action and updates from designated staff for previously discussed agenda item May 26th, 2022 regarding vendor food trucks.
Okay, so this is also my item. So I wanted to see if there was an update from staff regarding, I'm sorry, somebody trying to talk to me?
Yes, Ms. Colombia Lobos, the item is under consent agenda for an introduction. Item 11.
Number 26?
For 26, you have an item for consent of the introduction of the ordinance, which is item 11. So it's already on the agenda for you to have your public hearing on August the 18th.
Okay, so you guys can't give us an update? The staff can't give us an update?
That is the update. There's an ordinance to be introduced. We haven't introduced it yet. That'll be at the next meeting.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you would come, we would talk about it, and then, you know, present it to the public.
Okay. Do we have a motion to delete the item? Do we delete this one? Since we already have
it's
number
already
11?
Motion to delete item 26.
Second.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent. Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos.
Yes.
Item number 27, discussion and action regarding public Zoom video conferencing for general public use during all city council and board meetings. Request that city manager Adriana Rodarte and/or her designated staff member research the cost and effectiveness of this app to city and public.
And that's pretty much why I put this, it's been requested, and I wanted to see how the effectiveness is. What we're using right now, I won't lie to you, I have my volume all the way to the top. It's hard to hear. I don't know if Zoom is any better, but that's not the main reason. If you will allow council for staff to research it, come back and see if it's a better app for use. And I know that other cities use it, so that's pretty much why I brought this item to the table.
Ms. Rodarte?
Yes, Ms. Colombia Lobos, you're actually in Zoom right now. So if it's not working for you, that means it wouldn't work for anyone else. Because you are joining through the Zoom app.
Okay, so, okay. I guess that answers the question. And that would have been nice to have known, Ms. Rodarte, in the future, if you have any information like this, it would be nice to know before we bring it to council. Sometimes we're not aware of everything, so I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to delete item. Do we have a speaker?
Yes, we do. We have a speaker. I need a second, though.
Second.
Miriam Cruz.
Thank you, Ms. Navarro. So I've been on Zoom before because I've been sworn in, or I maybe gave a presentation. I don't remember. I've been on Zoom before. And I can tell you there is a huge difference. I can't hear you all, and you guys can't hear me. Right now, at the previous item, I could see Representative, sorry, your name escapes me. Anyway, some of the representatives always pointing to the ears saying that they can't hear me. It's very distracting for me because I am watching you guys as I'm speaking, to know that you guys can't hear me. It defeats the purpose of being able to publicly speak at a meeting if you guys cannot hear me. If you guys cannot see me, I don't think it should be a requirement for me to turn on my camera or for others to turn on the camera, but it gives me the option, if we do it through Zoom, for me to turn on my camera and be seen, and not just be potentially ignored like I'm being right now because it looks like no one is paying attention to me, right? Last time Representative Reyes stood up and walked away and we lost quorum. I mean, I believe it's a real issue, and I believe that it can be done in the right way, and I do believe that Zoom would be, and I've actually spoken to Esteban about it, I believe a second Zoom is a possibility. Many other entities do it, use it, it's very easy to do, and I have had issues with this telephone. Today I had to call multiple times and put in the code multiple times before I was actually let in. That's an issue. And this is not the first time that that's happened.
Ms.
with
Cruz,
this,
your time is up.
I forget what it's.
Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares? Yes. Alejandro Garcia is absent. Rudy Cruz?
Yes.
And Ivan Colombia Lopez.
Yes.
Motion to move into executive?
Do we have a motion?
Motion to move into executive.
To consult with the attorney for items 31 and 24?
Include.
And include item 24.
Second.
Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent. Rudy Cruz?
Yes.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos.
Yes.
Muted.
It is now 7:56 PM. We are now in executive.
unmuted.
This meeting is called to order. We are now in regular session. It is 8:25 p.m. Item number 24, update from staff regarding incentivizing board and commission members.
No action needed on this item.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to delete items 28, 29, and 30?
Make a motion to delete items 28, 29, and 30.
Second.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent. Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 31, discussion and action regarding Texas Gas Service Company, a division of One Gas, Inc., application to increase gas utility rates, RRC matter number OS-22-00009896, 551.071. Do we have a motion?
So my motion is to suspend the rates from the effective rates up to 90 days. Is that correct?
Yeah,
And intervene
From effective date.
from the effective date for 90 days. That's my motion.
Second.
And intervene.
And we have a speaker for this item, Mayor.
Yeah, and then there was a second item on, and finally motion to intervene in the Railroad Commission case.
And then the filed a motion to intervene in the
Railroad Commission case.
Railroad Commission case.
And we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
And we have a speaker.
Speaker.
Miriam Cruz.
Thank you, Ms. Navarro. Well, I have a concern because I'm not really sure what rates we're talking about, and it seems like maybe there's not enough notice, or obviously you guys have more information since you've been to executive, but it's not clear to me what rates are we talking about. Are we talking gas utility rates to the city specifically, meaning the city building, only city, or is it to the entire city of Socorro and the residents, businesses? It's like you're doing what rates the motion and then the item apply to. Thanks.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent. Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Get a second.
Who's second?
Second.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent. Rudy Cruz. And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Meeting adjourns at 8:28 p.m.